Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Black Spinner Circle vidcast. My partner Andy Rodriguez. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm using a new microphone.
Yep.
So,
Oh no, you're
Yeah,
great.
all right, cool,
yeah.
cool. I don't think I sound as boomy anymore like I used to.
Sounds great, man.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, my wife got me this microphone here, so been working good. So glad it's working. Anyway, welcome to the show. We got Tony Dio. Thank you, my brother, for coming on.
Yeah, man. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And Joe Staub is a last minute addition. That he's like the pinch
I,
hitter, man.
I'm the bench. I'm the bench.
Yeah, we're originally gonna have. I know Ralph was on the fence, but he texted me earlier saying he couldn't make it, so he's not coming on. And then we had Travis Parada was gonna come on, and he got sick. So we got a panel of four tonight, which is great. And well, before we get to the topic at hand, we do our what's spinning segment. I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything you've been listening to lately, maybe besides these three albums. But if anything, you got anything new, Tony, or want to talk about? Yeah, let us
um,
know.
yeah. I mean, I didn't get a. I got a few things this week. I didn't bring them in to show because I didn't really know. I actually picked up this past week. I got a couple things in. I got some kind of this metal compilation. It was called Metal Explosion. It was some Japanese record that came out. It was like all these MCA metal bands. So it had like White Spirit and the Tigers of Pantang
Oh,
and
okay.
these Gary Moore and Quartz. There's all like new wave of British metal thing
Yes.
early. And I got a couple of Shotgun Messiah albums on vinyl.
Oh,
Always
okay.
like that band. Cool band. Second Coming and the Violent New Breed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been, been
I remember Shotgun Messiah a lot. Actually, as a matter of fact, I always hear them on. Sometimes when I'm in the work truck, I'll put on the Sirius satellite radio, and they'll play them once in a while on there. And I remember them like in the late '80s, and they were poised to be kind of bigger, I thought, but they never
yeah,
made it over that
yeah.
hump.
That third album is very industrial like. They went more in an industrial direction. But it's still got the sleaze rock sound mixed in, so
Yeah,
it's like nobody's done that at all. And I think it's very original.
yeah.
And But Tim Skoll would go from there. He'd go solo, completely industrial, and then he ended up in like Marilyn Manson and several other bands
Oh,
through
okay.
the years. But yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff though. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they. I remember, I mean, when Guns N' Roses came out, I remember then by the late '80s, a lot of these kind of bands were like these kind of like a bit harder, more street, more sleazier.
Hmm.
I think of like Love Hate, bands like that.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
great band. Yeah,
and
that first album's great.
it seems like a lot of those bands are right in that spot where right before the fucking Seattle explosion and coming out of the hair metal thing, they were like they kind of had a foot in each.
The ones that kind of get lost in the shuffle, like stuff
Yeah,
like Wrathchild America, like the one.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but a lot of good stuff.
I think what you're saying is more like some of the bands that kind of started off on kind of the glam scene. They started going a little more street.
Yeah,
Everybody wanted to. It was more jeans and t-shirts and compact boots and
yeah. Once
you
Appetite for
know,
Destruction came
yeah,
out, I think a lot of bands
yeah,
were started rethinking their style and how they looked and
totally.
everything.
Yeah, Appetite was a game changer for
It,
sure.
it was, it was, man. I mean, everybody always talks about like, yeah, Seattle kind of killed the hair metal thing, but it really kind of started with Appetite. They kind of got the ball rolling, but
Oh
Mm.
then
yeah, big
but
change.
the ones that kind of came in and kind of continued that glam, they were like third rate bands, and it just got so watered down that it was just
Hmm.
bound to
Yep.
happen anyway. So
Yeah.
that
Hey,
90 that never mind, and the whole Seattle thing was just kind of the perfect storm,
Oh yeah, totally.
So
And just like any big change in the music industry, was very very well promoted.
yep,
It was
yeah, it
very.
was.
I was reading a book recently about just like kind of cultural, kind of like kind of cultural legacy of the late '70s, and a quote that really stuck with me was that the how brief punk rock was, especially in England, but also how unlike it was in America, punk rock in England, especially the Sex Pistols, was very like it was very much a like pushed thing. It was very particularly promoted. I mean, the Sex Pistols manager was like really well known for really like kind of doing like it wasn't as organic as it was presented as. It was
Well,
very
yeah,
much
I mean,
a produced thing.
there's always talk that Malcolm McLaren really kind of put that band together and
Yeah.
manufactured them. You know, it's just like when he let him loose, it's when all hell fucking broke
Yeah.
loose, and you know, but you can't deny the songwriting talent of you know
Steve Jones.
Steve Jones. Yes, you know, I mean, dude, he wrote some great riffs on that album, man. You know, that it went on to influence metal and all sorts of fucking genres, man. You know, and he went on to play like with metal guys and you know all sorts of like you know different guys and stuff. So, Joe, what do you got, brother? Anything new?
Yeah, so another band that gets kind of lumped into that late '80s kind of wave of bands that wasn't quite hair metal is Tesla, and I've been getting really digging into Tesla's back catalog lately. I knew the '80s stuff, but I wanted to check out some of the later day stuff. So much like I do with a lot of bands, I went on eBay and just found a whole bunch of their CDs together from one guy shipping it out for a pretty decent price. So I got pretty much all their studio albums on CD. And the one that our buddy Mark Alden Taylor really wanted me to look at was the first album with their current guitarist, Dave Rude, Forevermore.
Yeah.
Came out in 08. And I've been really enjoying this. I think this is a really, really good
it's a good album, man.
Not what I expected from them at that point in time. I think it's a really, really good, but it's very true to them, but also it sounds, it doesn't sound like they're just rehashing their old stuff. So really, really enjoying this. I'm going back through. I got Into the Now. I hadn't heard Bust a Nut before. So all those kind of later ones that I didn't know, I picked up all those. So I'm kind of going back through those right now.
Bust a Nut's an underrated one, man. But then again, look at the era. It came out in 94, and it's already those bands were kind of lost in the shuffle already. But I thought it was unfair for Tesla. I thought they were just a great, straight up, no frills, hard rock band. You know what I mean? So,
and the one thing I will give them is recently when I saw them 3 or 4 years ago, the last time they played M3, they made a point of they played at least one song from every album up to this one. They played at least one song from every album through this. They played, I think, Mama's Fool off Bust a Nut. They played, I think they might have played either I Want to Live or the title track off this. They played something off of Into the Now, and then they played Cold Blue Steel, the most recent single they put out. So they kind of made a point of playing something from at least every album, which is really cool to see them kind of shine some light on these later albums.
Now that album that you're holding on there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of like a conceptual album about soldiers or a soldier of some kind?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure. I've not looked that far into it. It could be. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Because I got a copy of that my uncle had recorded on a vinyl, off of a vinyl onto a CD, when I used to plug my vinyl into my computer and make and burn off my vinyl, and that's one of them that I made like that because you can hear me taking the needle off. And so I think that's I think that's the concept of it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's real. They're real good.
I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, the great band. I'm not that familiar with that album. Some of their later. So I think Here the Now, Into the Now was the last one I may have.
And that was the last one.
That was the reunion album.
Oh, and I got the one that Phil Collins produced. That sounds like a Def Leppard album.
Yeah, that's kind of considered. That's kind of considered the worst one.
Yeah, it's not Tesla. It's not a bad record. It just doesn't sound like Tesla. So yeah.
All right, Andy. How about you, man?
You know, I've got another podcast with our friends Kate and Jerry called Three Shots Down, and we're doing an episode next week about the station fire.
Oh.
And so I put on this cassette over over the weekend while I was working on it. The Best of Great Y. This was from '86 to '92, and then we were on the BS session, so we were talking about U2. So sometimes I listen to stuff that we've been talking about. This one's U2 Wide Awake in America on
Yeah,
cassette.
the EP.
Yeah, the EP. And then our good friend Jerry Soupy sent this through the mail to me, and I'm very excited because I needed this last one. The Styx debut album
That's a
Oh,
good
on
album.
vinyl
Yeah, yeah.
on the Wood and Nickel label.
Hmm.
So I've got almost everything that I want. So I'm almost
Yeah,
through
and
with
you
them.
got and you got the original cover on that as well. That's cool.
Oh, for real? Is that what that is? Okay,
Hmm.
I wasn't too sure because I'm not that familiar
Yeah,
with that
that's
first
cool.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
So
Good early stick stuff. It's a little bit of proto metal in there at times. I mean,
a little
we're
proggy, right?
a little
yeah,
proggy on it
proggy.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's some heavy stuff, some proggy stuff.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
J.Y. Young, he was underrated guitar player for sure. Yeah, seems like when Tommy Shaw came in that band, he kind of the focus all went on him, but J.Y. was the guy initially writing a lot of those early riffs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, yeah, cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever meet him?
Yeah, I have. I've worked for Styx several times,
Oh,
and
cool, man.
yeah, I actually, I had, I took him to, picked him up from his hotel once and took him to sound check, and we were just talking, and I said, man, one of my favorite songs is Queen of Spades, man. He goes, yeah, we're doing a medley tonight. We got that in there and stuff.
Oh, no shit.
And he said, make sure you get to see the set, yeah. And he was cool. And then next time they came around, he remembered me and stuff. He's super cool guy, man.
Yeah,
Real cool.
that's awesome, man. I always
Tall,
wanted to meet like some of those
tall.
guys, man.
So that I mean, I'm 6'3" and he's taller than I am, man.
Yeah, he's pretty tall too.
You always saw him when you see him standing next to Tommy Shaw. Tommy looked like a little shrimp,
Yeah, he is. Sure.
Yeah,
Tommy
yeah,
Shaw, man. Whenever in band photos, he'd be like the shortest one out of all of them, man.
yeah.
And then in Damn Yankee standing next to Ted Nugent because Ted's a kind of a pretty tall
Yeah.
guy. So
You guys, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, I shared a picture a couple months ago, and it says, "What '80s sitcom is this?" And it was a picture of Styx from like 1981
Yeah.
or something, and it looks like a sitcom cast. It doesn't even look like a rock band.
yeah,
Tommy Shaw looks like he's like 11 years old or something in the photo.
I remember that picture, man.
I gotta see that.
They look all
Hilarious.
yacht rock and shit, man.
Yeah, totally. They don't look like a rock band at all. They all like one of them's wearing a cardigan, and it's just
Wow.
Oh man. Yeah, last week I went to go see Scannerd, and then last night I saw John Fogerty, and
right.
he was great. And he was just talking
Always
about,
great.
and so in concert he was talking about he just recently got the rights back to his catalog, his Creedence Clearwater Revival, all the songs and shit. So it's a celebration at CCR. So I mean, mostly it was all pretty much CCR stuff. He threw in a couple of his solo hits, but I went my wife. My wife never seen him before, and she had a great time, and he was great. So
he's great live. Does he still have Kenny Aronoff playing drums?
no, he doesn't. He has actually who opened up was his two sons have a band, and they're called oh Jesus Christ, what are they called? It's a lyric from his one of his songs. Hardy Har. My wife just yelled at me. Hardy Har.
Oh, like Hottie High.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were great, man, dude. I was thoroughly impressed with them, and
That's
like
good,
the two
man.
sons to trade off vocals. They both play guitar, and the one son plays guitar and keyboards. But it was a 4-piece. No, 5-piece actually, because they had a keyboard player, bass player, and a drummer too.
Killer.
So basically, John Fogerty, that was his backing band when he came on.
Okay.
Like
That's cool. That's
all them
awesome.
guys.
You see a lot of artists now bring their kids out as their backing bands. And
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. When
Yeah.
I saw him, the last time I saw him, he had Kenny Aronoff on drums, and he had James from White Line playing bass. Who's
Oh,
in Megadeth
Lomenzo?
now.
Okay.
James Lomenzo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, nah, none of those guys are there now, man.
Fogerty's so good live, man. And I mean, those Creedence songs, man. It's just you don't realize how many hits they had till you go see him and you
I know.
all the songs.
I know, amazing.
Yeah.
And he's running around the stage like he's still a kid, man. He was like a lot of energy. I guess having your sons kind of like kicks it up a notch, you know. And but I, since I saw them, I've been getting into like some '70s like live albums again. So actually this Thursday I have tickets to go see ZZ Top. So I've been
great album.
So this one,
I had that on 8-track as a kid.
Yeah. So it's half. I know it's half.
Used to drive my mom crazy with that live when he's doing that. She's like, "What are you listening to?" You know.
I know it's like half live, half studio, but still great, man.
They could have made a whole studio album from that, because the studio side is fantastic, and they were on a hot streak.
I know.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder if we done another half studio, made a complete album. That would have been a big album for them.
I wonder why they made it half live. Maybe they were under the gun to get an album out or something.
Probably.
I don't know.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
Because I think that was after Thresh Lumbres, right? That came on right after.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they were hot. Damn,
yeah. That run of '70s albums is unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it is.
This was a record store day one. So Thin Lizzy. I love this one. This is great.
It's from the Live and Dangerous recordings, the box set.
Box set, yeah, which I don't have, but I need to get that too, man.
I didn't end up getting the box set as big of a Lizzy fan. I've got most of the shows, but I did get that one that you just showed, and I've got I think it's either the day before or the day after show they released in Europe only on Record Store Day. I got that one as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is awesome. I mean, the track listing is just unbelievable on here.
I saw a Thin Lizzy tribute band Saturday night that played here, and they were great. They had the guitarist Quinn Lucas from the band Icarus Witch was in it.
Oh, okay.
They were and
cool,
he's in Iron Flame and Icarus Witch. Yeah, they were
man.
good.
And then like 2 weeks ago I saw God, I'm having a brain fart today, man. I can't fucking remember shit. From Ted, who used to sing with Ted Nugent.
Derek St. Holmes.
Derek St. Holmes. So, but instead, he was great on his own. Like he had just him, and I got to meet him. He was really cool, nice guy. He signed a couple of my Nugent albums and stuff. But it prompted me to go back and listen to an earlier Ted Nugent live album, which was this one,
nice,
the Amboy Dukes one. And I mean, it's got a Prodigal Man is like a 20-minute epic on here, which is unbelievable. But some of the earlier Amboy Duke stuff I love too, man. I don't think Ted really gets. I wish he'd pulled more of these gems out, like when he played live. He would once in a while, but
he would usually play like a song from them.
Yeah, I got that one. On
there you go. Yeah, it's a great one, man. I love that one. The earlier stuff. One of my favorite ones. Well, because then he had Amboy Dukes. Then it became Ted Nugent Amboy. So he became more of like the leader and really kind of took over. One of my favorite studio albums actually by that lineup is Call of the Wild. I love that album.
No, yeah, that's a great album.
Yeah,
it's a great.
I've got that one in Tooth, Fang, and Claw, like a double CD set. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, man. Right before he went solo, that was like, I think at that point Rob Grange was already in the band as well. Mm-hmm. So, and he'd become the classic Ted Nugent lineup. So anyway, that's why I've been spinning some, been '70s live albums. That was like 1970 actually. That Amboy Dukes one. So yeah. All right, man. Now we get to the topic at hand. I had this idea where, since it's March, it's the third month of the year. You know me, man. I always come up with these ideas, So I had this idea. Three. We're gonna go metal on this one. So, and that's why I really asked Tony Dio, because he's a resident metal guy, and Joe Staub too. You guys know your metal. So, 3-piece bands, their third albums. And 3 of them. We're going to do 3 albums pitted against each other, track by track. So the theme here is 3. And
10 songs each.
Yep. So we have Motorhead's third album, Bomber, came out in 1979. There you go. Great album. the classic lineup of Lemmy, Fast Eddie, and Filthy Animal.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Then we got Anvil's All for One.
Raven.
That's their third album that came out in 1983. You got the Gallagher brothers and Rob Hunter on drums. There you go. I have the cassette
you mean
right here.
you mean Raven?
You mean Raven.
You said Anvil.
I'm sorry, Raven.
Yeah.
Raven.
I was
Did I
going to
say-
say
did I say
you
Anvil?
didn't tell me to listen.
Said Anvil.
Did I say Anvil? I was almost. Yeah, actually, I was almost going to pick Anvil instead of Celtic Frost, but I wanted to kind of like do a little bit. I'll get to it in a second, but yeah, I got that cassette. There you go. You got the vinyl there. I'm sorry, I called it Anvil. I'm like, what the hell?
We have all three
I didn't
formats
listen. I
covered.
didn't listen to any Anvil. So.
Neither did I.
Yeah, Anvil. It's got the Gallagher brothers in them now. They
Yeah.
took over.
They got rid of Lips and got the Gallagher brothers.
Took over. Just take control.
My bad. I told you I'm having brain farts today. And then Celtic Frost Into the Pandemonium came out in 1987. Oh, signed by them too. Look at that,
Yeah,
beautiful.
all three. Yeah.
Tony Dio, man.
Martin Ain actually wrote above his name "In Hell."
And he passed away, right?
He did. He passed
Yeah.
away. He sure did. Like 2010 maybe. I can't remember.
Oh, he passed away that long ago already. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, maybe not quite that long. But
Okay.
the last tour they did was like I think maybe 07, 08 maybe.
Yeah, because Monotheist was 06, I think.
Yeah, 06 was the tour, and they toured. It kept coming back, and the last time I saw them, they were opening for Typo Negative actually. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I never got to see Celtic Frost, man. I always wanted to see them, and I never did. I know Tom G. Warrior has Triptychon too, and my friends have gone to see them and stuff, and I think they do. They do some Celtic Frost, don't they, or no?
The last few tours, they actually did like full tributes to Celtic Frost.
Oh, okay.
I'm way off. He died in 17, so I'm way off. I was thinking
Okay.
he died like further, but yeah, you know how time flies.
Yeah,
hard to keep up
it
with.
does fly.
Yeah,
man.
he died in 17. Yeah, he sure did. But yeah, Tom's been doing the Triptychon thing as a tribute to Celtic Frost, and he's doing the Hellhammer stuff again too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Honestly, I think you should just call it Celtic Frost. I mean,
Yeah. I wonder why he does it, man. He just
I think it would command more money and he'd sell more T-shirts.
yeah, it would. But Into the Pandemonium came out in 1987. Tom G. Warrior, Martin Eric Ain, and Reed St. Mark, who's I love Reed St. Mark, man, great drummer. It came out in 87. And now all these albums have 10 tracks. We were talking about a little bit about. I'll let Tony talk about the Into Pandemonium. We just went with the original kind of US LP 10 track, but I think there's a little bit of a difference. Tony, let everybody know about that.
The original track listing. I mean, there's 10 tracks, and then of course there's the European version. It was just one thing different. Track 4, "Sorrows of the Moon." We got in the U.S., which is on like U.S. pressings on like Combat. Put it out in the U.S. It's called "Sorrows of the Moon," but and it's a metal track. I mean, it's metal guitars and stuff. But on the European versions, you got basically the same track, "Sorrows of the Moon," but it's titled in French, which is "Tres de la Lune," and it's a totally different. It's the same song, but it's an orchestrated piece done with string instruments, cellos, violins, and you've got this like a lady speaking in French. Yeah. She's and it's really, really dramatic, but it's the same song. You can listen to the chord progressions, and it's the same as what the from the metal version is what they're playing in the string version. It's really neat to compare them, and of course when they've done different remasters and deluxe editions, they include both versions and extra tracks, of course. But we went today with the original 10, is what I was told. But I think Joseph said he heard the orchestrated version. Yeah.
But that's fine, man. I mean, we'll still.
It didn't make it. Yeah, it's still cool. It's still
cool.
It wouldn't have made a difference on the song I picked for that one.
Yeah, so. I didn't pick that song anyway, so it's okay.
Spoiler alert. Anyway, you know what's funny, man? When this album came out, this is the first album by Celtic Frost I ever heard, actually. when I was in high school. So I had a friend. I was friends with this guy, and he had an older brother. We used to go. He was actually in a band. They had a local band called Systematic Annihilation, which was they were kind of like a local band, and his older brother played guitar in it. So we'd go over my friend's house. They would be rehearsing in the attic, and they were more into like more Slayer and the more harder stuff. And I remember his older brother had like a great CD collection, and he had Merciful Fate and King Diamond, and he had this, he had Celtic Frost, he had Death, he had like all kind of the harder stuff. And I got introduced by that like through him, man, because I didn't know. I mean, the hardest stuff I knew was like maybe the big four, like Metallica, Megadeth, things like that. Yeah. But he went like further, like into the more extreme stuff. So, and I remember first hearing my friend brought the cassette in to school, and he's like, "Hey, check this out," and it was this album, Into the Pandemonium, and the first track is actually the cover of Mexican Radio, and I'm like, well, I know this song, but I was like blown away by like their version of it, and especially Reed St. Mark's drums,
Yeah, that double bass pieces.
Oh God, man, it's so good, dude. And my friend. Yeah. My friend, whose older brother, was a drummer, so he was getting into drums, and I was getting into guitar, and he'd come over to my house, and I had him set his drums over in my garage. So it would just be me and him. We didn't even have a bass player, so we just would jam like just stupid jams and try to be like heavy and shit like that, But it was great. It was fun, man. But anyway, I'll get more into that. So we're gonna just actually start. So Motorhead, Bomber, Anvil, All for One. Yeah, Anvil, All for One.
Raven.
Did I put Anvil on here? That's why I'm calling it Anvil, because I wrote it down on here. Jesus Christ,
am I on the wrong album here? I mean, got my card on.
Okay, Raven, All for One. Right. Jesus Christ, dude. You know what? I'm going to put this right in front of my face here. So, I don't know why I keep calling it, because I wrote it down on here. That's why sorry about that. Raven, All for One, and Celtic Frost, Into the Pandemonium. First track, Motorhead, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Raven, Take Control. Celtic Frost, Mexican Radio. We'll start with Tony, go Joe, Andy, and myself.
Well, what you were saying just a second, just to kind of add to it, that was my introduction to Celtic Frost. I came in kind of late. Raven I had already discovered, and Motorhead, of course. Celtic Frost, I kept seeing them in magazines and stuff, and I was like, they look cool. I got to check them out. So probably around 1987, I went to actually a used record store in a college town, and they actually had Into the Pandemonium and To Megatherion. I bought both of them that day on vinyl, and that's the copies I still have. And I just remember going home and listening to them, and Pandemonium is such a, To Megatherion is such a groundbreaking record for what that is.
Oh yeah.
And then I listened to Pandemonium, and it's very experimental. This record.
Oh yeah.
A lot of orchestrated pieces on it. Tom changed his vote. He sang in his regular gruff vocals, but he also sang in this moaning voice. And for years, I thought that was Martin Ain singing. I thought they were trading vocals.
Okay.
And but Mexican Radio, kicking things off. When I first put it on, I'm thinking, wow, they're doing a Wall of Voodoo cover, And I still, that song does not fit on the album whatsoever. No. Nothing else is on it. It's almost like that should have been like a hidden track at the end of the record or something.
Yeah.
But I still to this day I don't know why they decided to sequence it with that as the opening track.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else on the album like it. It's just totally different vibe. The rest, it starts off almost like a party rock record.
Yeah. And
then it goes into this completely dark, just menacing record. It's just really just so heavy. But as much as I do love that cover, I love Dead Men Tell No Tales as well. But I got to go Take Control, because that is just such an awesome opening track from Raven, and to me, this is the best record Raven did with the original three guys. Is this album? It's just so many good. They really came into form with this record. So I'm gonna go Take Control for my first pick.
Now, before we go on, on the first track, let's everybody give a little synopsis too about each band, like when you discovered them and everything. So when did you discover Motorhead, Tony? like early on, I'm sure.
I discovered Motorhead basically off MTV. I had I'd seen them in magazines, and I saw the Kill by Death video, and I was like,
Okay.
that's cool. And I ended up, No Remorse was actually the first record I ever purchased by them. I actually didn't purchase. Some kid at school had it, and I ended up trading him something for it. It was a cassette version. He actually originally had the original cassette that came in the leather pouch. You could take the cassette out, it was in a leather pouch.
Oh, wow.
And by the time I got him to trade me, he had, he gave me the tape, and it had a cover and stuff. But he had tucked the leather pouch and had cut it up and made a patch out of it, sewed it on his jacket.
Oh.
And so I didn't get that. And I have the original vinyl with the leather cover, but the cassette is even more rare to find.
Wow.
Than the album is actually.
So it was a leather pouch that had like Motorhead on it. Like
it was like it almost looked like a little leather cigarette pouch that you would like they used to sell, but it wasn't that thick. It was a more thin fox leather.
Yeah.
It had the cassette slid down in it. With a little button snap on it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to find one. I've never seen one in the wild anywhere. I've seen people trying to sell them on eBay and stuff, but I've never just ran across one. And Raven, my introduction to Raven, and I've told this story before, especially to John Gallagher, because it was just so funny. I heard. I had this compilation called Metal Killers, and it was a Castle Communications thing. It had all these different bands and metal bands, and Raven had the song Wiped Out on it, was included. And if you're familiar with that song, at the end, it sounds like they're smashing all their instruments and stuff. It's just crazy. And I was thinking, this has got to be the craziest band in the world. And John said when they recorded at the end, they took a bunch of microphones and they put them in like this trash can and just threw it down a staircase and recorded it.
Oh wow, man!
That's how they got that sound.
He said that on the interview you guys did with him, right? Yeah, that was a great show. Dude. I love that show.
That was, and not long after that, I saw the video for On and On when MTV started doing those Headbangers Ball episodes, like with Dee Snider hosting.
Yeah, with Dee Snider, yes.
Showed On and On video, and I saw that. So
cool. All right, so your pick is Take Control on this one, right? All right.
Yep.
I'm writing everything down now.
All right, cool. Joe, man, how about you, brother?
Yeah, so I mean, these are all bands that I got into mainly through Ralph and Ian and the Rock and Metal Combat podcast, especially Raven, because I mean, we all know Ralph and his relationship with the Gallaghers and how much of a huge fan he is. And I mean, I knew Motorhead, just the name Motorhead and some songs, but I really got into them through listening to Ralph and Ian. And then, of course, I mean, Celtic Frost, that's not a band that I ever would have come across in the wild until I saw, I think one day, probably 10 or so years ago, when I think Ralph put the Into the Crypts of Rays video up on his page. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I need to get into this. So I got in, I checked out that song. I checked out the rest of Morbid Tales, Emperor's Return EP, To Megatherion. Loved all that stuff. Didn't get a chance to check Into the Pandemonium out. And then I heard horrible things about the stuff that came after that. So I didn't check any of that out. Plus, it's hard to find Cold Lake anywhere.
Well, like Cold Lake?
Yeah. And plus, you can't find Cold Lake anywhere if you try. Because I think the band has pretty much erased that off the face of the earth at this point.
They're very expensive if you find them.
Yes. So I never really, when I was getting into them, never really checked out Into the Pandemonium. I knew Morbid Tales, I knew Emperor's Return, I knew To Megatherion, loved all that stuff. With Motorhead, of course, I'm a huge Motorhead fan now. I have all their albums and everything like that. This has never been one of my favorites. I think this is a really, really sharp downturn after Overkill, and it sits between two of their best albums. This is kind of a little bit of a lull between two of the highs of their career. And there's some great stuff on this. I think there's some stuff that I don't like on this album. But I agree with Tony. This is the greatest thing that Raven did with that original lineup. This is an amazing album front to back. Just straightforward, heavy album. And the version I'm holding up here, there's this really cool box set that they put out on the HNE label. It's all of their early albums on CD. It has cool little like poster with a bunch of the liner notes and stuff on it, and then it has Rock Until You Drop, Wiped Out, All for One, and Live at the Inferno in it. It's a really, really great box set. Got it for like $20. So I think they still sell it on Amazon. If anyone does not have these albums on CD and is looking for them, it's a really, really cool deal to get all these great early albums. But yeah, of these 3 albums, not Wiped Out, All for One is easily my favorite of these 3 albums. Into the Pandemonium, I checked it out a couple years ago. I completely forgot that I ever checked it out. I re-listened to it tonight, and I remember why I forgot about it. I think that Into the Pandemonium is a mess of an album. I didn't like it almost at all. I think there's a couple songs that echo those first 2 albums, and I really love those songs. What Tony said about Tom's vocals, where he decides to go back and forth between his traditional vocals and this weird, like, moaning thing. I wish he wouldn't have done that, because I think Tom has one of the greatest metal voices. I love his rasp on those early albums and the couple of the songs that he has on here, and I wish he would have just stayed with that on this album. I would have probably liked the album a lot more. Also, some of the songs are just weird and bad, including the cover of Mexican Radio. I could not stand it. I do love Dead Men Tell No Tales, but I am gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with Take Control on this one as well.
All right, man.
All right,
Andy. I know a lot of this stuff's new to you, man.
So, MOtorHead, I was more familiar with. I've got, but not to the point where I have a lot of their albums. I got one of their greatest hits, and I'm enjoying that. And of course, I've heard their debut album, and I've heard the
Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades album.
Yeah,
but not repeatedly. But I do like them, and I do want to get more into them. Now, Raven and Celtic Frost, I'll group them together because I got into them at the same time. Thursday.
I threw Andy into the
better
fire.
late than never.
Yeah.
I had never heard a note from these 2 bands, and when I told Al, I was all like, well, I've never heard these albums before, so I thought he might change it around. Instead, he said, well, you better get to work. I was like, okay, I guess he's not going to change it then. And I'm glad he didn't, because I really enjoyed these albums. I really did enjoy the Celtic Frost as well. I thought it was
It's very experimental.
It's like a Faith No More before there was Faith No More. To me, I thought that the vocals were really good. The time changes with their music was, it kept you on. Their music kept you on their toes, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I enjoyed that. And then Raven, I think I was telling Al Joseph that I really, really did like that Raven album, and they still do have that a 4-pack on Amazon, because I checked it out. That's how much I enjoyed this album. I said, "Oh wow, let me look for some more." And I had remembered, Al, that you had said on their website they've got an album, and it's numbered and it's signed and all that, and they still have that available too.
Yeah,
on their website. So
I got this because of your show, Tony. When you guys were interviewing, I went right to the website, ordered it, and actually I ordered that one, and I got let me just pull it out real quick.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that they stuck to this, because I was introduced to new music that I'm really going to venture into, and I'm kind of surprised. I wasn't that surprised with Raven. I was surprised that I liked Celtic Frost so much, because that's way out of my element. But I liked it, So that was cool.
So when I went and ordered this one, I saw that they had this on there, so I got All Hell's Breaking Loose as well.
Great record, yeah.
This was limited too, and it came with a signed photo of them and actually like a patch. It was really cool, the shit they threw in, man. So I was like, I'm glad.
Yeah, it's great, man. They take care of the fans when you order stuff from them. That's true.
Yeah, so actually,
and they're the nicest band. I mean, you ever go see them? They don't do no paid meet and greets. They're there.
Yeah.
They're setting up their own gear, and they'll come out
wow.
and hang out with you and everything, man.
That's what I think I was telling the story last week or the week before. We were talking about Raven on a show that I was on, and I saw them last year, and just this little place in Baltimore. There was probably like maybe 50 of us there, and I was there with my buddy, and I think it was even like between like the first opening band and the second opening band. It wasn't Vicious Rumors wasn't even on yet, and I looked over, I'm like, I think that's John Gallagher. And he was just standing there walking around, just looking over at the merch table. I think he was looking at Vicious Rumors' merch table. And he was just walking around talking to people. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's John Gallagher.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't miss a big, burly English guy with long hair. It kind of sticks out. But I'm just like, that's cool that they were just walking around like that. Just
super cool.
Everything I hear you guys say, and when you interview them, they seem like the coolest guys. And I said when we were talking about them recently, I said, you could have thought at that show that they were playing in front of thousands of people. Just the show that they were putting on for the 50 of us in this tiny little bar in the inner city in Baltimore. You would have thought they were playing the Hollywood Bowl or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never got around to seeing them, man. But if they come to Florida, my area, I'm going, and I'm definitely going. You know,
they'll be back. They live there now. So.
Yeah, like that's what I heard.
The brothers live in Florida, and Mike. I think Mike might live in the drummer. He may live out west somewhere, but yeah, the brothers live in Florida.
You know what part of Florida is it? This not the Tampa area, is it? Maybe more southern.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, and my pick.
I'm sorry, Andy. Sorry.
No, let's go. But I do want to say hi to Mick and Will. What's going on, guys? It's really good to hear from y'all.
Nick Watkins, Will Toth.
The old Dick Watkins.
I am going to go with Raven. Take Control. It starts off, and they start the album with high energy. I dig the rough and tough and operatic vocalization on here, and the killer guitar solo. Quick and it kills, man.
Yeah.
So, I went with Take Control.
All right. Yeah. Well, I was just talking about how I got into Celtic Frost through my friend's older brother. So this is the first album I had heard by them, and Mexican radio. My friend let me borrow the tape. I heard it in my Walkman, and I was blown. But you're right. Like, it didn't fit into the rest of the album. The rest of the album was so experimental and just different. But I can't gauge it because I didn't hear the earlier stuff until after. So I just kind of thought like we were kind of always like this. But then I went back, to Megatherion. I remember seeing to Megatherion in the record store, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I could bring this album home and have my mom see this album, dude. She'll exercise the demons from me, dude. She'll think I'm like, possessed or something, because Andy, if you don't know, it's the devil has Jesus as a slingshot. I'm sure Tony has the album.
I've seen that.
It's an H.R. Geiger painting. It's where he's very very famous, and that's there you go.
I saw that.
Yeah. Crazy, man. I
would have flipped.
I was so nervous, like, to even like attempt to buy that and bring that home, but I had to hide it, for the longest time. And then Morbid Tales actually is the first album, which was really, I mean, it was a big, huge influence on like black metal scene and all that stuff. So
yeah. So
I went back and heard that stuff.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That debut, man. Yeah. And it was more of a mini album, and then it got the bonus tracks added to it and all that later on.
When it came out in the U.S., they added tracks to it. Metal Blade licensed it and put it out in the States.
Okay.
They added a couple.
I think that's the original demo. It was only like 4 or 5 songs or something, right?
Yeah, because I think they had the Emperor's Return.
The remastered versions that came out later on had the demos on it. But no, when they released it in Europe, originally it was a mini LP, and the song Morbid Tales wasn't even on it. And then they ended up putting a few, that song and a couple extras on it, and Metal Blade released it in '84. And then years later, there's been various versions of it released where they add the Emperor's Return tracks on and stuff like that, Yeah.
All right, and then so MOtorHead I knew forever. I mean, I knew from the early MTV days. I remember seeing like Iron Fist and Ace of Spades and stuff, and like wow. And so the first time I bought by them was actually Ace of Spades. I was the first one, and I got them as they came out. But I love Motorhead, man. They're great band. I've always seen them a bunch of times. Actually, the first time I didn't get to see them until Ozfest '98 when they headlined the smaller stage. And I thought they blew like everybody away, dude. They were fucking unbelievable, So, and then Raven was really the last one I got into because I was in a band where the bass player, he was huge into Raven, and he was always telling me, and he would make me he'd let me borrow like albums or CDs or whatever. And I was like, wow, it's cool. And All for One was actually the first one that he let me borrow. So, and I mean, it's funny with Raven, man. I have a bunch of cassettes of theirs, so
cool.
Yeah.
So
I had all those once as well.
Yeah, the first one here, and I got Life's a Bitch on here, and what's the other one I got? I got The Pack is Back. So yeah, I've gotten really more into Raven like in the last since the mid 2000s. So, but they were really the last band I got into out of these three bands. So, as far as the tracks go, I do love the cover of Mexican Radio, but ultimately I'm going with Dead Men Tell No Tales. I'm going to be the outlier here. I do love the opening Take Control track. I mean, I love it, but I still lean a bit more towards Motorhead. I do like this. I know Joe was saying it is in between two classics, and it's a bit of a lull. I kind of like the lull albums. I don't know. I'm weird like that, I love this album a lot, but I'm going with Dead Men. I'm going with the opening track. So
cool.
That's going to be my pick. Now we're going to the second track, which is Lawman, Motorhead Lawman, Raven, Mind Over Metal, and Celtic Frost Mesmerized. Tony, take it away.
Yeah, I have to agree with Joseph too about the Motorhead record. It's one that I don't go to a lot, and but there's some good songs on it. But it was sandwiched between two classics, and it's a lot of people say it's the weakest of the original lineup.
Almost like Point of Entry by Priest.
When I not original lineup, but the classic lineup.
The classic, yeah.
With Fast Eddie and Filthy Animal Taylor. Mesmerize is a weird track. That's the first one that comes on where he's singing in the moaning voice, and I was just like, I don't know. Love the riff in it. Love the heaviness of the guitars, but I'm going to go Mind Over Metal with Raven because it's just a great track. And one thing we should point out, too, about the Raven record is this was the like we said, the Awful One record. They actually, their U.S. tour was with Metallica across the U.S. It was the Kill 'Em All for One tour.
Yeah.
Because Metallica was on Kill 'Em All, and they were new, and basically, Johnny Zazula brought Raven over to do a tour with Metallica, and when he told John Gallagher, I'm going to put you on tour in the States with the biggest band from San Francisco, John Gallagher said, you're putting us on tour with Y&T? Yeah. So he was like,
that would have been an interesting tour.
Metallica what? Yeah. So anyhow, but yeah. So you got to think, the Raven guys and the Metallica guys are riding in an RV across the U.S. together.
Wow, that's crazy.
My friend, the bass player that I was in the band with that introduced me to Raven. He saw that tour with Metallica and Raven at a roller rink or something in New Jersey, and he had the Kill 'Em All album, and he got Lars and Cliff to sign it. So he has He's got Cliff's autograph on the original pressing of Kill 'Em All. So
wow,
I'm like, dude, that's like, you better hold on to that, man, because that's keep that in the safe or something, man. Because that's rare, man. So
yeah.
I don't know. It looks like Joe kind of froze up on us there. Joe, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you froze up, man.
No.
Oh, you're very still there.
You're very still.
I was like, holy shit, man. So you're taking Mind Over Metal, Tony. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Joe, take it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of similar thing again. Mesmerized, I completely agree with Tony. Just great instrumentals, but there's that moaning voice that I just don't don't get on this album. Lawman's a pretty cool song, but yeah, I got to go with Mind Over Metal too. I mean, just another straightforward, heavy track, just another great track on this album. Just one thing that I just kind of thought of really quickly that just kind of to me encapsulates my kind of thoughts on Bomber, and I think it was kind of something that they probably thought about a little bit as well. Not a lot of songs from this album on No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
True.
Not a lot of songs from this album when they only had 4 albums to pick from. Not a lot of stuff from this one on No Sleep Till Hammersmith. I think it was just the title track? Was that the only song on No Sleep Till Hammersmith? That's it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of Overkill stuff. There's a ton of Ace of Spades stuff. There's even a couple songs off the debut album. Not a lot from this. So I think that just kind of, to me, really just kind of encapsulates my thoughts on this album. Some good stuff, but not up to the standard of the other albums around it. But yeah, for track 2, I got to go with Mind Over Metal from Raven.
All right. Andy.
That's 2 for Raven. I am going the same way. Raven, Mind Over Matter. The riff is so cool, and the vocals, again, very metal. After the guitar solo, I like the way that the guitar riffs keep going. It's a very nice rhythm, how towards the end, it just lays down on a nice rhythm riff. So, yeah, man, I went with Mind Over Metal.
I'm going to make it Mind Over Metal as well. So all 4 of us picked that one. Yeah, that's a great one, man. I do love Lawman. Mesmerize, yeah, it's a weird track. That was like, it's funny. I hadn't listened to this Into the Pandemonium in years, dude. I hadn't until I thought of this. So I went back and revisited it. I'm like, wow, man, they were fucking super experimental, man, on this album. And then we all know what happened on the next one. And I remember
got very experimental. Yeah.
Maybe this one got the ball rolling for that. The next one was a different lineup. I know the whole story, right?
I'll say now the band changed. I mean, it was just Tom left. But if you look at their image, the way they look on Into the Pandemonium, they were kind of getting into the hairspray and the clothes were getting.
It's starting to go that way. It's starting to go that way.
I mean, they were definitely changing it. They looked more on Into the Pandemonium. They looked almost like the new romantic look. Kind of gothy, new romantic look. But I'm one that I'll go out and say I don't think Cold Lake's a bad record at all. It's just not a great Celtic Frost record. It should have been called something else.
Yeah. I think it was the look on that album that kind of put everybody over the edge. All the true metalheads and stuff,
And
which is funny. It's the cover. The cover of Vanity Nemesis is really what the cover art for that album
is very glammy.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they were supposed to be coming back heavy on that one, but I think Cold Lake's got better songs on it than Vanity Nemesis myself. There's a couple of really good songs that are heavy on Vanity Nemesis, but there's a lot of experimental tracks on there and cover songs and stuff on it, and I just, I actually prefer Cold Lake over it, but that's like I said, that's a different story. But
you got Cold Lake, right? You got copies of that, Tony?
Oh yeah, I've had it. I bought it when it was new because I was like, oh okay. So by then, the first new record that I went to buy from them was Cold Lake. So I go out and buy it. And I'm just like, it's not that bad really. Now before I bought it, I actually saw the Cherry Orchards video actually premiered on Headbangers Ball, and I remember watching it. We got a world premiere tonight from Celtic Frost. They showed it, and we were just standing there going,
"What the hell's going on?
What is this?" I mean, wow. Yeah, who is that? It kind of looks like Tom, but I don't know. That's not Reed. That's not Eric. That's not Martin Eric. Ain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, and but I went out and bought it, and there was some good songs on there. They got a song on there. If you ever get a chance to listen to a song called "Once They Were Eagles," killer heavy track.
Yeah.
The worst thing about Cold Lake is the lead guitar player, that Oliver Amberg. He is like Vinnie Vincent on crack. His solos are horrible. They're just awful guitar solos. Now Tom solos on the earlier albums. He's not a great guitarist, but it works for what he's doing. That Cold Lake solos are awful, man. God, man, that guy was just like, I was like, God, yeah, he comes from the Vinnie Vincent school, except he didn't really, you know, at least Vinny's somewhat are musical, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right, so I got mine over Mel's. That makes it a clean sweep on that one. Now we're gonna go to the third track: Motorhead, "Sweet Revenge," Raven, "Sledgehammer Rock," Celtic Frost, "Inner Sanctum." Go ahead, Tony.
I'm gonna go on this one. I'm definitely gonna go with Inner Sanctum because that's one of the best tracks on Into the Pandemonium, and I do like Into the Pandemonium. I do like Mesmerize. I like listening to the weirdness of it.
Yeah,
But Inner Sanctum, man, God, that's like a thrashy song, man. It's
yeah,
got a hook to it. It sounds like some of their earlier stuff that we were used to hearing.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go Inner Sanctum there.
Cool. All right, man. Joe.
This one was hard. This is one of those that when Ralph does the track by tracks and he talks about how stuff just lines up sometimes.
Yeah.
I would have put Inner Sanctum over almost anything on most of these albums, except for one track, and that is Sweet Revenge. My favorite song on Bomber. I mean, it's so different from almost anything else on that album. It's this kind of heavy, slow, like just really unique track to almost anything else on this album. I mean, the first two tracks are pretty just generic Motorhead, good generic Motorhead, but very generic Motorhead. Sweet Revenge is something just completely different, and it's just so unique. It's my favorite track on that album. And Inner Sanctum, I mean, just like Tony was saying, it could have fit on Morbid Tales or Megatherion. It's that good. Tom using his amazing metal voice, just the riffs, the drumming, like you said, is amazing on this album.
Reed St. Mark.
Reed St. Mark on that song specifically is just amazing. And I wish Inner Sanctum was going against literally anything else, but it's not, so I had to pick Sweet Revenge.
Okay. Sweet Revenge. One for Motorhead. Go ahead, Andy.
Just a quick note on baseball news. I just found out that Garrett Cole is out for the year.
Tommy John.
Yeah, that's going to hurt the Yankees. It really is.
Good, I hope it does.
It will. I didn't have them win the division to begin with. But I'm going to go with Motorhead. Hello, Victims. That's awesome. I love the way that starts off with a melancholy riff along with Lenny's subdued vocals. It's got a slow rampage build up. And even though it's slow, it's like damaging in its wake. I love it. The great thing that I love about Motorhead are the lyrics. If you read the title of the song, they stick to the title of the song. They tell you exactly the definition of those words. There is no second guessing. Oh, well, I wonder what this song's about. I wonder if there's a hidden message. There are no hidden messages in the Motorhead song, and I love it. They tell it how it is, and I love it. So, Motorhead's Sweet Revenge. I love the storytelling of it. It's awesome.
All right, man. So that's I'm gonna side with Tony here, man. I'm going Inner Sanctum. I love this track, and again, it's one of the best tracks on the album, man. For me personally, and Tony said the same. I think you said the same thing. Yeah, it's one of the heavier. It's probably the heaviest song, one of the heaviest songs on the album, and it does harken back to the earlier two albums. So yeah, I'm picking Inner Sanctum. I love that song, man. So yeah, Tom's voice is awesome on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2-2 actually. That's a tie, 2-2. Track 4, Motorhead Sharpshooter, Ravens All for One, Celtic Frost Sorrow in the Moon. Is it Sorrow of the Moon or in the Moon?
Sorrows of the Moon.
Sorrows of the Moon. I'm sorry.
Moon.
Sorrows of the Moon. Yeah, I can't. Sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting. Anyway, take it away, Tony.
These are I thought Sharpshooter's a cool song. Sorrows of the Moon, I like the metal version of the song more than I do the orchestrated version. That's another one of the moaning vocal tracks, but it's such a heavy riff. But man, that title track from Raven, All for One, I mean, just swords in the air. I mean, God, it's like their theme song, and they still play. They always play it live, and it's just got a good hook about it. It's a fist pumping song. Everybody's singing along. So yeah, All for One, definitely.
Awesome, man. Joe, take it away, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. All for One. When I saw them last year, this was one of the two songs off this album they played, and like you said, Swords in the Air. This is the battle cry. When they played this live, the whole crowd was just fist pumping. All for One. I mean, it's just a great track. Sharpshooter's cool. Kind of another generic Motorhead track though to me. And I heard the orchestra version of Stars of the Moon did nothing for me. So
yeah, yeah. Sounds like you're watching like an old silent movie, and that's the soundtrack to it or something, you know?
Yeah. All right, man. So you got title track, All for One. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with sharpshooter on this one. Again, it tells you the definition of what a sharpshooter does. But I will add this about Celtic Frost. It's not going to win in the battle for the fourth track, but I think that track was perfectly placed on that album. I think it plays very well, and I'm talking about the orchestrated operatic voice. It's one of those pieces that a band can stick in there that flows perfectly in the album. That's a pretty herky jerky album. So I loved it.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't, it's not going to beat the other two tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But album wise, it's perfectly placed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're Sharpshooter?
Sharpshooter.
I'm going Ravens All for One, man. I mean, that fucking title track is awesome, man. Just like you guys were saying, dude, it's an anthem, and just again, man, this album is awesome. I'm actually now looking at. I'm surprised I didn't take control over Dead Man Telling Tales, but I do like Dead Man Telling Tales. I love that song on the album. So, but yeah, All for One, man, love that song. So I'm picking that one, Ravens. So it's 3-1 on that one.
Yeah, I was the lone wolf on that one.
Yeah. All right, man. So we're going track 5. Motorhead, Poison. Ravens, Run Silent, Run Deep. Celtic Frost, Babylon Fell. Go ahead, Tony.
This was tough because I do like all three, and man, Run Silent, Run Deep is such a cool song on this. So much different than anything else on the record. But then it goes up against Babylon Fell, and that's one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
And I love that track, man. It's just so heavy. And once again, it harkens back to something that could possibly fit on Morbid Tales, debut.
Yeah.
Love that. So yeah, that was a really tough call between Babylon Fell and Run Silent, Run Deep for me.
Okay.
But I'm going to go Frost on this one.
All right, Joe.
I'm just gonna click copy and paste real quick. Literally everything Tony said. I mean, 3 really cool tracks. Run Silent, Run Deep is just an amazing, unique track. Probably the most unique track on All for One. Really love that track, but I mean, Babylon Fell. Just there, you're not gonna beat that one. I mean, it's just an epic track. Like Tony said, harkens back to the early stuff. That's how you're gonna win my heart on this album.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, this one was kind of tough, but I did go with Raven, Run Silent, Run Deep.
That's a great track too, man.
So it really gives it an epic feel, but it does not have an epic time to it. It's a short song, but it feels like there's so much going on, and I love that feeling of it. And that's what wanted for me in this battle was the way that the guitars are on this track. It makes it feel so like a big old thing, and really it was only less than 4 minutes. So, but that's why I went with Raven on that one.
All right. I'm going Frost as well, man. Babylon Fell. Dude, awesome song. And you know what? Listening to this song, revisiting the album that I hadn't learned in a long time. In high school as well, like I had another friend of mine who was into hardcore music, Agnostic Front, Bad Brains, things like that. It almost sounds like when I was listening to Babylon Fell now, it almost sounds like it influenced kind of like some hardcore bands in a way. And I've heard hardcore bands actually kind of check Celtic Frost as an influence. It does have kind of a Bad Brains kind of Agnostic Front kind of feel to it. Especially like like the guitar lines and the riffs and stuff. I mean, I've heard, because I have a friend of mine, Mike Gallo. Actually, he's a friend of a friend, but he's the bass player in the Gnostic Front now. So I've seen the Gnostic Front a few times with him in the lineup, and so I went back and I revisited like some of their older albums, like back in the day. But yeah, I mean but Babylon Fell, man, actually kind of was reminding me of some like Agnostic Front, a little some hardcore, but I mean, I know it's not hardcore, but it sounds like it influenced that genre, the early hardcore stuff. You know what I mean? So, but even though this is a 1987 album, I mean, hardcore was earlier than this, but I don't know, man. Just to me, it just sounds like it influenced like Bad Brains, or something. So, but I'm going Babylon Fell. Amazing track on the album. One of the best ones on there too. So that's my pick. So now we're gonna go track 6. Motorhead, Stone Dead Forever. Ravens, Hung, Drawn, and Quartered, and Celtic Frost, Caress into Oblivion. Tony.
Another tough one because I like all 3 of these tracks. I mean, the Frost, Caress into Oblivion, so heavy. I mean, just a grinding, slow, almost like doom metal type song.
Yeah.
And then Hung, Drawn, and Quartered is just just a catchy, just chaotic type song. And just all the king's horses, all the king's men could not put me back together again. It's just great, great lyrics there from John. But I got to do a Motorhead song, and I've always loved Stone Dead Forever.
Yeah.
When I got Motorhead's No Remorse album, that was featured on it. I always liked the song. Love Lemmy's bass tone on him. He's got his trademark. But I just love what he's playing the bass line and stuff, and just always thought it was a cool song. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
All right, Stone Dead Forever, Motorhead. Joe.
Yeah, I mean, Stone Dead Forever is a classic, but I got to go with Hung, Drawn, and Quartered. I mean, that's a ripping track. The part you quoted, Tony, just a really absolutely classic track for me from Ravens. So I got to go with Hung, Drawn, and Quartered.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I am going to go with Caress into Oblivion.
Oh wow!
What Joseph was complaining about the moaning in his vocals, I loved it. I mean, it sounded like he was dying in captivity. I also love the dramatic vocals, and the band takes it up a notch and then back down. And the way the guitar solo just spirals, it's like you're going down this spiral. It's so awesome. I thought it was a great track. So, Caress into Oblivion.
Cool.
Yeah, Tom solos, like I said, he was never the best soloist when it came to guitar solos, but stuff like that, he just sounds like it's just so chaotic. It works in the song. I mean, they actually even hired a lead guitar player for the tour when they went off, and they had a guy named, I think his name was Ron Marks, was the touring guitarist to come in and do the solos and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a cool song, man. That's the first time I've picked Celtic Frost, and not the last either. So go on.
All right, cool. I'm going with Joseph on this one. Hung, Drawn, and Quartered. To me, like when I was hearing this track again, it almost kind of reminded me of 70s Priest a little bit, like with the vocals and the guitar. It almost kind of sounded like Delivering the Goods in a way, like kind of influenced by that. I kind of heard that in the sound.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I know definitely they love Priest, so I'm sure they were influenced by that 70s stuff. I will say about Caress into Oblivion though, that and all 3 tracks are great. I love Stone Dead Forever. I love that song on here, and I love Caress into Oblivion. Caress into Oblivion almost kind of sounds, I used to hear stories about like Nirvana on their tour bus. They used to love playing like Celtic Frost on the tour bus, and I can almost kind of hear this actually kind of influenced like a Seattle kind of like some of the Seattle grunge bands, like the sludgier kind of maybe the early like Soundgarden or the early even Melvins maybe kind of like thing. This kind of sounds like it kind of could have. I mean, Nirvana's first album kind of like sounds like it could have influenced that. And I know Kurt likes Celtic. Do you guys?
He
now,
was.
do you guys,
Kurt Kurt was
I go
fan.
back and
So was
forth,
so.
Al.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys what's right? Celtic Frost. I used to pronounce it Celtic Frost, and
I did as well. I've heard it both
I've
ways.
heard it both
and
ways.
And over the year, and I've heard Tom say it both ways in
Okay.
different interviews.
Yeah.
But I just always went. I just stuck with Celtic. I mean,
Yeah. All right.
Okay. I said Celtic Frost, but then y'all were saying Celtic. I was like, well, what the hell did I know?
Yeah. Sometimes I say Celtic.
I
Sometimes,
say both.
yeah.
when they play Boston, they're Celtic Frost. You know?
Yeah, the Celtics.
The Celtics, the Boston Celtics.
But this three track battle, man, is pretty. I mean, it's great all through, man. All three of them have great tracks, but ultimately, I'm going to go with Raven on this one. But I do love the other two, man. So I'm going hung, drawn, and quartered on this one. Which brings us to the track 7. MOtorHead's All the Aces. Ravens Break the Chain. Celtic Frost one in their pride. One in their pride, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. One in Their Pride is a very unique track. Now that is experimental. That's
like one way of putting it.
It's trip hop. It's like proto trip hop.
It's like electro beat.
Yeah, it's this beat. It's like what in the world, and it's about the space shuttle exploding. That's what he dedicated it to.
Oh, okay.
That's what the dedication's to. But it was about space travel and moon landing and all that stuff like that. It's cool for what it is. It is. It's almost, but it's just like once again, this is like wow, this is just completely out left field here.
Experimental,
yeah. And All the Aces that's a good song for what it is. But man, Break the Chain is the one I'm gonna go with. Break the Chain. There's my 12-inch single for Break the Chain.
Wow.
And
Nice.
Signed by the band, signed by the guys, and very cool. It's one of their anthems. It's one of their most popular songs. It's one they're gonna play it at every song. They always, a lot of times they'll stretch it out and they'll go into little jam sessions and stuff like that, in it and stuff. Well, that's Rockin' Till You Drop that they do that. They stretch out, but I've seen them stretch this out a little bit too, at least the beginning part of it before they get into the riff, But yeah, great track. Just always love that one. So it's gonna be hard to beat Break the Chain.
Okay. We got one for Raven. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this one wasn't particularly tough. All the Aces is probably one of my least favorite songs on Bomber. It's nothing special. One in Their Pride isn't even really a song. And this is my favorite song on Raven All for One is Break the Chain. Amazing track.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was amazing to see this live. This was the other song off this album that they played when I saw them. Just a phenomenal track. My favorite song on this album. Easily what I'm picking for this.
Cool. Chalk another one up for Raven. Go ahead, Andy.
I'm going with MOtorHead on this one. All the Aces. I really like the story on here. How the record executives screw the musicians out of money. I really like the line where it says, "All the aces held by those with no faces." Fast Eddie is moving and earning his given nickname of Fast Eddie. I think that guitar solo is fantastic, and it talks about the pitfalls of the music biz. We all think that these guys make all the money in the world, but man, they're working hard for the little money that they're getting. You know, because there's so many pumps that need to be greased. So, but you would think that
I gotta censor this over here. I might get kicked off of YouTube here.
you would think that the artists and the ones that create all this would be the breadwinners, but they're not, unfortunately. So that's why I went with All the Aces by MOtorHead.
I'm gonna stick with my partner Andy, man. I picked All the Aces on this one too, man. I love that track. I mean, I love Break the Chain as well. Was it One of Their Pride? Has an industrial. To me, I thought it sounded like Ministry almost, and it had an industrial feel to it. You know what I mean? So I was like, whoa, that was like Tony said, that's way out of left field, man. I mean, talk about really experimenting. They were going for it on this album, but But hey, listen, sometimes experimenting is cool. Sometimes it doesn't work. You know,
Yeah.
maybe some people that do like it, but I mean, I thought it was a little bit too much going in that experimentation. So, but yeah, I'm going all the aces on this one. So, all right, man. So we're gonna go track 8. Motorhead, Step Down. Ravens, Take It Away. Celtic Frost, I Won't Dance. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, so Step Down, it's okay track. Didn't do a whole lot for him. Take It Away, God, this is such a great track, and it was really tough to go between Take It Away or I Won't Dance. For the moaning vocal songs, I really like I Won't Dance. It's different than anything else on the record. It's almost like it's got this mainstream kind of like sensibility about it. Like it's a more straightforward song, almost like they were going for a radio rock song or something. He's not really singing into moaning vocals. He just sings in this deeper voice, and it's got this hook to it. It's a cool riff, and I don't know. I think it's tough, man, because I like Take It Away a lot too. But I think I'm gonna go with I Won't Dance. And once again, they actually released
it wow.
12-inch. That's a 12-inch single that they did for I Won't Dance.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's actually got a picture on the back where they have that touring guitarist that I mentioned, Ron Marks.
Shit!
About to get neglected. Yeah. And
they're not a trio, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but that was just just for the tour.
For touring
so they
purposes,
put a picture for the tour. Yeah, they released this to promote the tour.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the photo of the band. I was saying they're starting to look more like a
the hair
type band, and
they're
getting kind of new romantic on that with that image.
Oh well, they did cover half of his face out, so you can't really. I mean, they're trying to hide him. He's off back there.
Oh, here.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's Ron over here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Reed's shadowed a little bit in that photo. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Reed's an amazing drummer, though, man.
He is.
Whatever happened to him?
He lives in. He was American. He went over there. Celtic Frost was a band from Switzerland. But,
yes,
But he ended up after Frost. He was in a band called. Was a couple of guys from MOD. They had a band called. What was it? It was. God, I'm trying to remember the name of them now. They had a couple of albums out. One was on Megaforce, and I think then they got picked up by a major. It was more like an alt rock type band.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know the name of it. I can't think of it.
That's all right.
I really wasn't into it that much. But then he, in recent years, I know he lives in Virginia Beach now because they had this metal horror convention, in North Carolina Chainsaw Massacre Fest, that John from Incantation and his wife put together, and they had it here in North Carolina a couple years ago. And Reed was a guest. He came and hung out and met people, signed autographs, took pictures. And he actually got up and played with one of the bands later that night. They did a couple Frost songs. He played drums with them.
Oh, cool.
And it was cool. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Nice guy, real nice guy.
Oh, sure, man. Sure. Great drummer, man. I remember my friend introduced me to this album. Who's a drummer? He loved Reed St. Mark. He was like, I love this guy's drum style, and he was, really getting into him and. Dave Lombardo, like the guys that were great on double bass and stuff like that. So I remember, Reed St. Mark was very, a lot of the metal drummers loved him, man. So it's just kind of a shame, like he didn't kind of continue in another band, like, really kind of, I don't know if he's still active or not, but nobody really talks about him.
He told me he plays with a symphony now.
Oh, okay.
Which there was a lot of like kettle drums and percussion and stuff, The band I was trying to think of was called Mind Funk.
Oh, I know Mind Funk. Okay.
Yeah, he was the drummer in that. Yeah.
Really, dude? I totally didn't even. I didn't even realize
they were very Seattle sounding.
Yes.
But, I think it was maybe it just didn't catch on because they were known as guys from metal bands. Being MOD. I think it was the guys from MOD, a couple guys from E-Trope. And Reed,
Yeah, man, Mind Funk. Yeah, I remember that, man. Yeah, no shit. All right, cool. So you picked I Won't Dance, right?
Yes.
Okay, Joe.
This one was a little tough for me to go between I Won't Dance and Take It Away from Raven. In the end, I had to go with Take It Away. I think it's a really good track. The Motorhead song is kind of cool too. It's one of the few Motorhead tracks that Lemmy isn't the lead vocalist on. It's Fast Eddie singing on Step Down, which is it's a cool track. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with Take It Away.
All right, cool. One for Raven. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, on this one here, I am going to go with Celtic Frost with "I Won't Dance." The
Oh,
deep riffs, the call, the call and response vocals fits into the avant-garde metal sound that the album represents. The bass rhythm on this song is so damn good. I mean, you can hear the bass just going at it. So yeah, I'm going to go with "I Won't Dance."
Eric Martin, man. Yeah. Um, yeah, man. I mean, I do like that song, but ultimately, I'm going to go with Raven. Take It Away on this one. I do like Step Down too. I like the bluesy kind of. I dig Fast Eddie on the vocal there, but I can't pick it over the other two. I Won't Dance is almost kind of gothic in a way. I was thinking of like some sort of like kind of going to like a goth club and like hearing that
Exactly.
song.
I could. Yeah. I guarantee you they were
Rave.
playing it in goth clubs.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could totally like hear that, man. And
Mhm.
and it's cool, man. But ultimately, I'm gonna go with Raven on this one. Take it away. So this is a tie, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's another tie. There's been three ties, and in
yeah.
fact, I went to like a goth like nightclub in New Orleans years ago. I really thought that I was going to die. I was afraid for my life. It went like downstairs. It was like in a dungeon type of thing. The people were hanging from hooks and shit. I said, "The hell am I doing in here?"
I used to go. I used to go to the Limelight in New York City,
Yeah,
and that's an old church that was
Mhm.
converted to a club, and it had all these different levels. And
uh,
I mean, you can get lost in there. There's like different rooms, but you can walk into one room and it's complete like total like hardcore like metal. You can walk into another one, it's got like a goth club, or you can go to another one. It's like they're playing like freestyle, like happy kind of
yeah,
freestyle, like dance music and shit. I mean, it was just insane that club. It's like it's like you're like in a twilight zone. If you're
And it
if
was
you're
an
under
old church. Yeah.
if you if you're under the influence of some substances, you can be like, holy shit, man. you know. So
Yeah. Killer place, man. The old church. I only went there once. Saw Morbid Angel there once.
dude, that must have been great, man. I never actually saw a concert there though. I only went there like on like when they were there doing different room like
like
music, DJs playing stuff. So I never got to see a concert there though. I remember like Ace Frehley playing there and a bunch of different people. But yeah, that's so you saw Morbid Angel there, man. How was
It
that?
was it was Morbid Angel and that band Dave Lombardo had after he left Slayer called Grip Incorporated.
Oh, Grip Inc. Yeah,
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 yeah. We kind of stumbled upon it. You remember when Kiss did those official Kiss conventions
yeah,
where they were there?
yeah.
So we were over at the what was the big place there? They had that show. It was like right next door, I think. I can't remember the name of the venue. It's not there anymore. I went there a couple of times.
Webster
Great big.
Hall.
Nah, but I can't remember the name. I went there and saw X Japan back in 2010 as well. I just
You're
can't
talking
remember
about?
the name of it.
Are you talking about in New York City?
Yeah,
Roseland Ballroom.
Roseland Ballroom.
That
Yeah,
was a
and then we
yeah.
left the Kiss Expo. Someone said, "Yeah, Morbid Angel's playing the Limelight," so we just go over there and got tickets and went in.
Yeah, me living in New Jersey all my life, I went to those venues. Roseland, I saw tons of bands there. That was a great venue, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went there.
I went to Roseland. That's where they did the Kiss convention. Yeah, and then I went back in 2010 and I saw X Japan play there.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's torn down now. I believe.
Yeah, I used to go to the Kiss conventions when they had them in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Um,
Hackensack.
Hackensack,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I went to a couple of those as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, where are we here? I kind of got lost here. Okay, so I took Take It
Track
Away.
nine. Yeah,
I
track
took
nine.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now we're going to track 9. Okay, Motorhead, Talking Head, Raven, Seek and Destroy, and Celtic Frost, Rex Array. I think Requiem. I think that's how
Mhm.
you pronounce it. Go ahead, Tony.
Rex Array is a very, very weird experimental track.
Oh
you've
yeah,
got metal, and you've got orchestration thrown in. You've got this female soprano opera singer coming in.
yeah.
It's a whacked out track. Um, Talking Head, I think I like that song. I like the lyrics in it. About kind of about like the TV and the news and stuff, and it's another cool little bass piece in there from Lemmy that's really cool. But I'm gonna go with Seek and Destroy because I love the riff on Seek and Destroy. God, it's such a killer
Yeah.
riff on that song. I think it was funny that they're out touring with Metallica at the same time, and both have a record out that has a song called Seek and Destroy at the same time. You know?
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. So you got Seek and Destroy. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Seek and Destroy too. Straight ahead metal. But I will say, as much as I've been ragging on kind of like the weirdness of this Celtic Frost album, I really did like Rex Ray. I did enjoy that track. It was different in a fun way. I did enjoy that track quite a bit. But yeah, I got to go with Seek and Destroy.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rex Array on this one.
I knew Andy was going to go
I thought
for it,
you
man.
were. I thought you would because it is odd. It's an
Dude,
odd track. It's cool. It's very cool.
It's a fresh breath of air, man. The operatic female vocal and Fisher Queens and begging, they're like.
Wait, I got to point this out. A fresh breath air.
Fresh breath air.
A breath.
Breath air. Sorry about that.
I'm going to start using that, man.
Yeah,
But the way
yeah.
that the operatic female vocals and Fisher's vocals are kind of going at it, she's high, he's like really low, he's brooding and he's pleading and begging. It's just awesome. And then it goes into this thrash track. Out of nowhere, it gets so thrashy. And it's just long, these long riffs that are just, and it was just
Yeah.
so good. And
Yeah.
I couldn't compare it to anything else.
Mhm.
So
Very
that had
different.
to do it for me.
All right. Yeah, when I was listening to the Rex Avery, it was reminding me almost of like a symphonic, like almost like death metal, like black metal, like a
It's
symphonic.
very influential on that type of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, the symphonic stuff. Like, and then she almost was reminding me of like fucking King Diamond, like the way she was singing, like had that kind of that influence in there, and I don't know, it was crazy, man. But great track. Ultimately, I am going with Seek and Destroy. Though I do love that song, man. But the Celtic Frost one, man, is, I mean, they fucking got so experimental on this album. I love the symphonic elements and the things that they brought into this album, and they were already kind of doing that even before this, But it was really more pronounced on this album. They were like stretching the boundaries out of like their experimentation, man. I mean, they were going. Then that's why I could see how Joe was saying kind of the album was kind of like all over the place. I think you were saying that, Joe, or something.
I was.
But yeah, and I could see like I mean, just they switched gears so much on this album, like between all this different stuff. But I do like this track a lot, though. The symphonic element to it, really, and I kind of like some of that stuff. I like the experimentation. So I could see how it was an influence on some of that symphonic black metal stuff, man. They were like, I mean, Celtic Frost always gets called out as influence a lot of different genres, man. I mean, bands actually love this band, so but I'm gonna go Seek and Destroy on this one.
Yeah, they were definitely very influential on death metal, black metal, symphonic metal.
Thrash.
Cold Lake didn't do anything to help glam metal, but otherwise they did very well.
All right, man. So we're gonna go the final track on each album. So we're gonna go the title track, Motorhead Bomber, Ravens Athletic Rock, and Celtic Frost Oriental Masquerade. Take it away, Tony.
Well, Oriental Masquerade is pretty much an outro song. It's just an instrumental. It's just this plodding, like metallic riff with like you hear trombones and tubas and kettle drums and everything just playing along, and it's definitely an outro type song. So it's kind of hard to even put it into running here.
Yeah.
Athletic Rock. great track. I think maybe Raven were trying to brand themselves as athletic rock at the time because they were kind of changing their image and they were wearing like shin guards.
Were they wearing like the
You know,
hockey gear or something?
hockey and BMX. Well, you know, by then, Wacko, the drummer, had adopted the helmet and everything, but they were wearing like BMX guard grills
Yeah.
and chest pieces, and they
Well,
were.
you look at the cover of the
definitely
package.
changing. Not quite that flamboyant yet, but they were kind of going in the direction. You know, I don't know. Maybe they got an endorsement with Nike or something. Or I mean, I'm serious. I think maybe they did get an endorsement with like you know, somebody like that possibly. But great track. But I gotta go Bomber. Bomber's such a great track. There's a 7-inch single for Bomber.
Oh, nice.
There. But yeah,
Love that,
God,
man.
such one of my favorite Motorhead songs for sure. It's just a great, just hard driving song. Just love it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, 100% Bomber. It's the classic track on this album. Like it's the one that stood the test of time in their set lists and and they would keep pulling out with. I mean, the giant plane over top of them was a big fixture of their set.
The lighting rig. Yeah.
Yeah, the lighting rig with the plane that would come down and go back and forth is just iconic. I mean, it's on the cover of No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Just a great track. One of my favorite tracks on this album. Just had to go with Bomber.
All right, Andy.
Well, for sure, I wasn't going to go with a song with a title like Athletic Rock. That was for damn sure. I said, really? That's what they named the song? So I went with Bomber. No one writes a better war song than Motor. Just straight to the point. It's a great closer. I like great closers, and that's what I got. With the Celtic Frost closer, I'm like Tony was saying, you know, of course he's more into this album and has more experience with it than I do, but it is just a little culmination closer. But it closes the album just fine, though. It really does, because everything that you hear is such a heavy avant-garde, and it ends perfectly with that track. But of course, you know, it's not going to be Bomber. So Motorhead for me on that one.
You know, when I went into this, man, I told Andy about like the 3 albums we're doing, and you know, obviously he knew Motorhead, but he didn't know Raven or Celtic Frost. I actually thought he was going to hate the Celtic Frost album for some reason. I just thought he was going to like completely like shit all over it. But it's surprising. I mean, Andy has an open mind, so I'm not saying he doesn't have an open mind. He does, and I mean, it's amazing to me that you're actually embracing the album as much as I never thought that you would really like, get into it. But that's cool, man. I really think I think the avant-garde thing kind of grabbed you probably about
I think so too, because I'm a big Frank Zappa fan, and hearing this kind of sound and, you know, things going in different direction, it didn't throw me off. You know, it's stuff that I was kind of not comfortable with, but used to that kind of U-turns and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going with Bomber, man. The closer. That's the Motorhead classic on there too. Love that song. Great way to close out the album. Yeah, the Oriental Masquerade. They're experimenting with like the strings and horns again, like on this last track, and I think it's cool, man. I think the experimentation that they were doing after listening to this album for the longest time, again, like going back to the first track, Mexican Radio, it fucking doesn't fit this album at all, man. You know, starting with track 2, like On Its Way, it's just like, hey, it's all over the place, but it's just fucking crazy, man. Like how much, you know, Tom G. Warrior, man, I think the guy's a genius, to be honest with you, dude. Those first 3 albums, I mean, those first 2 albums, like the reputation on those first 2 albums, I mean, just influenced so many artists and bands and stuff. But I love that he just kind of didn't sit like still, you know, he you know, even though he failed with Cold Lake and he shits on that album now, how does he sign it? Doesn't he sign it like if people want him to autograph it? Doesn't he say like
Abomination?
Was it?
He writes Abomination.
Abomination. That's it.
He's definitely he's kind of like a metal Frank Zappa. I mean, he's just a musical genius.
Yeah, man. I agree with that 100%, man. So yeah, so that's Bomber. So that's a clean sweep on this one.
Yeah.
Andy, man, how we do? What's the tally on this?
Okay, the tally, we had 3 ties. One for Motorhead, which was the end there. 4 for Raven, and Celtic Frost got 1. Tony had 5 Raven tracks, 3 Celtic Frost, and 2 Motorhead songs.
Okay.
Joseph had 7 Raven songs and 2 Motorhead songs and 1 Celtic Frost, which he picked Raven as a winner. So did Tony. Me, I had Motorhead win. I had 4 Motorheads, 3 Ravens, and 3 Celtic Frosts for me. Is the way I did it. And Al, Raven won for you, but it was
Yeah.
close too. You had 4 Ravens. 1, 2, 3, 4. No,
5.
you had five Ravens.
5 actually. Yeah.
Yeah, five Ravens and 2 Celtic Frosts and 3 Motorheads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way you had yours. Yeah,
But
tell of everything.
ultimately, I do love that Celtic Frost album, though. I do really like it a lot. So, yeah, and I hadn't heard it in years. So, yeah, that's the show, man. So it looks like Raven's the overall winner here.
Yeah. Raven took it with 5 picks. There were 3 ties and 1 Motorhead and 1 Celtic Frost.
All for one, man. Raven.
Killer. Awesome.
I need to see these guys live, man. I haven't never did.
You do.
Never did.
You really do.
Yeah, and if they live down here in Florida, I need to get my ass to a show. Yeah, look at that, man. Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Tony, man, what do you got coming up? Like different shows? What are you going on?
Oh, this week, I don't know if we're doing Dudes Talking Metal this week or not with John Gaffney over at Lair of Alchemist, possibly. But I know we're doing Rock Fantasy Files this week over with Steve Keeler and the gang there. I think we're doing an album battle between a couple of I think some 1985 records. So check those out if you can. And and of course I think Thursday night on Almost Human we're gonna get together and show off our 7 inches.
You like my 7-inch?
These 45 singles, because I think we're gonna Count Ralph has brought it up. He wanted to do it. I think my friend Richard is gonna join us as well. He's got some really cool collectible pieces. So we're gonna be showing our as my
7-inch
call them our little records.
Yeah. I was I don't know if I think I mentioned it to Ralph or maybe I mentioned it to you. You guys should do an autograph show off your autographed albums. Because you guys got between you and Ralph, you guys got quite a bit. I have a lot too, but I'm not trying to shoehorn myself into the show, but I have quite a few. Yeah. But I mean, you have
do that. Some good idea. Yeah. We'll have to do that.
But you have a ton of them, man. You and Ralph, dude. You know.
And I also want to add. So I have Tony Dio's Metal Emporium on YouTube channel. So I'll be. Right now, it's just a lot of content from playlists from various shows I'm on, but I'm going to start releasing some videos of myself.
Oh, cool!
Showing stuff in my collection. So
it's
going to be coming real. Cool. I've been taping some stuff and editing it together, so I'll be releasing some of that here in the coming weeks.
I love your collection, man. You have so many. You have so many great things, man. I love your. You're always good with the album anniversaries, man. Showing off. You know, this album's celebrating an anniversary today, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, dude, I forgot, like, this fucking came out today, but you're like the man with that, man. You really show up. And he shows off the album, the CD, and the cassette a lot of times.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and the 8-track sometimes.
And sometimes, a lot of formats, man. You know, I try to be the same way, actually, you know, but Tony got an immense collection. I love it, dude. So
I call them the 3 plays where I got the cassette, the CD, and the album. And I've got quite a few of those.
Yeah.
I call them 3 plays.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you for coming on the show. You got any shows or anything you're going to see soon, or?
Not in the immediate future. I just got tickets yesterday to go see Britt Floyd in a couple months.
Okay. I heard that they're great, man.
I've heard phenomenal things. Jerry said he goes and sees them every year. I've heard phenomenal things. They were just airing on PBS last night, but they had a show. Last year they did their version of the Pulse tour and they filmed it. But this year they're doing 50th anniversary of Wish You Were Here.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're doing the whole album plus like 15 other songs, at
Wow.
least 15 other songs, and it's a pretty from the set list they're doing. It's a pretty cool split. They're doing stuff all the way as early as metal, all the way up through the Division Bell. They're even playing a song off of Final Cut, I think. So like they're covering most of the stuff. I think they're doing one of these days off metal.
Yeah.
They're doing a couple songs off Dark Side. They're doing Pigs. They're doing Pigs. I know they did Dogs on the last tour for the Pulse tour.
That's the way to do it, man.
They're doing Pigs this year. They're doing a little Sweet from the Wall. They're doing Goodbye Blue Sky.
Love that song.
Empty Spaces, Young Lust. They're doing that. They're doing
patch right there.
They're doing Another Brick in the Wall Part 1, Happiest Days Part 2, Mother. They're doing that. They're doing Comfortably Numb, I think, and I think they close out the show with Run Like Hell. And then they're doing like one song off of Final Cut. I'm not sure which song, and then like one or two songs from Division Bell and Momentary Lapse. I think they're opening with Learning to Fly.
I'm wondering if the Final Cut one they're doing is Not Now, John.
No, it's not. It's not any of the singles.
No, okay.
It was one that I didn't even realize was from the Final Cut. I think it was like something on side 2.
Okay.
Which is not the side that anyone usually talks about. I'll have to look it up real quick.
You recently went to that Zeppelin show too. That was really good.
Oh, that was so good. Yeah. Two Suns in the Sunset is what they're doing.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Which Zeppelin band did you see?
Get the Lead Out.
Oh yeah.
That was phenomenal. They opened up with In the Evening, which was really cool. Yeah. They did a whole bunch of deep cuts. They did Royal Orleans. They did 10 Years Gone. They did for the first half of the show, I felt like it was In Through the Outdoor Night, because they opened up with In the Evening. They did Hot Dog. They did All My Love. So I'm like, what is this? In Through the Outdoor Night? But just a phenomenal show. They had like 3 guitarists on stage replicating the sound of Jimmy Page because of all the overdubs and stuff. When they did the intro to Nobody's Fault But Mine, they had 3 guitarists on stage doing just the overdubs. They actually did it live.
Well, that's why I always thought that the Black Crowes and Jimmy Page thing sounded so great, because he had 2 other guitar players to cover all those guitar parts, because he overdubbed a lot of different. I mean, when you heard Zeppelin live, and he's just covering one guitar part, sometimes it sounds weird. It's not sounding like it almost just doesn't sound right. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
I pre-ordered the new 3-disc version of the Black Crowes live album that they're putting out. I'm excited to listen to that.
Cool.
How much was that, Joe?
I think it was like $25. Not bad for the 3 CD version. That's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get the vinyl.
That's expensive, man.
Yeah, it's like 6 vinyls, I think.
Yeah.
Andy, man, what we got going on next week? Anything?
Yeah, well, I'll be on the BS sessions with Joe on Thursday. I'm surprised he didn't mention this because type of metal game show.
Yeah, I'm hosting the first official BS Sessions metal trivia. I'm hosting on Thursday.
Oh, cool. Well, if everybody knows metal trivia, you do. So
I'm the one coming up with all the questions. I had a couple people send me some stuff for questions, and we're gonna have I believe it's gonna be Andy, Mark, Jerry, and I think was it anybody else? I think there was one other person, maybe.
I think Tim.
Tim.
No. Metal Mike.
Metal Mike. Yeah, Metal Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, Metal Mike. Okay.
Well, Metal Mike, with a name like that, he should win.
Yeah, he should.
So we're doing it's all about 80s metal. I have a couple different categories of questions to ask. We're gonna have buzzers and stuff for the guys to buzz in. So.
And another point, thank God you don't have Tony Dio or Ralph on the show.
Well, Ralph would wipe the floor. Ralph always wins metal trivia.
Well, Tony too, man.
That's true. That's true.
And there's a prize too. So
one of Andy's Jethro Tull vinyls. Andy is jonesing to get rid of these Jethro.
It's gotta be Crest of a Knave then, because I won the metal Grammy.
It's gonna be Aqualung.
Cool.
You get Crest of a Knave, and you get a replica of the Grammy Award that came with it as the prize.
You get Chris. You get the case of Chris with a name, but it's actually Injustice for All in it.
That's a good one.
Tony, man, Joe, thanks you guys for coming on. I know, Joe, you were last minute, but that's awesome that you got to come on, Tony. Always a pleasure to have you, bro. You're awesome, bro.
Hey, what's going on next week, Al?
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh no, it's your pick.
No, this is my show.
I know, but you said you want to do the next one too, the Gary Moore 3 albums.
Well, that's the day after. That's the day after St. Patrick's Day. Yeah,
that is next week, Al.
Is it?
Today's the 10th.
Jesus Christ, dude. All right, so it is. Okay.
I was like, okay, he wants to do back-to-back shows. Go for it.
All right, man. All right, I'm another brain fart. Actually, yeah, we're gonna do three. Well, last year we did three Thin Lizzy albums. We did a track by track between the three of them. This next week we're gonna do 3 Gary Moore albums. And I forgot like which ones I'm gonna do. I know I think Run for Cover is one of them.
Victims of the Future.
Victims of the Future. And Back on the Streets. Back on the Streets.
Oh.
Yeah. His first official solo album was that one. He did have one called the Gary Moore Band, which was like the early 70s.
Stone. Yeah.
Yeah. But the first Gary Moore album, Back on the Streets. So, yeah, we're going to go. All those have 9 tracks. So, we're going to do a track by track that as kind of like a St. Patrick's Day celebration of, Irish. Yeah. Go ahead, Andy. What?
And another 3 albums I've never heard in my life that I got to do.
There you go, man. Oh,
but
dude,
I'm a third through them already.
You got to listen to Gary Moore. He's awesome, man.
I know. I just started when y'all were talking about him when we were doing albums of the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think Jimmy Schwartz was talking about that album back Taking It to the Streets or something like that.
Yeah, Back in the Streets. Yeah.
Back in the Streets. So that one I did hear a little bit because after the show I checked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Phil Lynot's on that album too. Like, he's on some tracks in there. And I think
Parisian Walkways. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's going to be the show next Tuesday. We're going to do that the day after St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. So, because I think St. Patrick's Day people are going to be out celebrating. So I don't want to, even though it's a Monday night. But anyway, that don't stop the Irish. So.
No.
Well, anybody else being Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be our show next week. So thanks again, guys, for coming on. We'll see you guys next week on Tuesday. And cheers, man. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm spinning out there, guys. Take it easy.
Later. Oop.
See ya.
Bye, guys.